ChatGPT. Please give a crash course on European Union, EU, with brief history, latest member profile, leadership, politics and economy, decision-making mechanism, and major contemporary issues and latest status update. Sure. I can provide a brief overview of the European Union, EU, its history, member profile, leadership, politics and economy, decision-making mechanism, and contemporary issues. Overview of the European Union, EU. The European Union, EU, is a political and economic union of 27 member states located primarily in Europe. The EU was established in the aftermath of World War II as a means of promoting peace, stability, and economic cooperation among its member states. Today, the EU is one of the world's largest economies and a major player in global politics. Brief history. The EU traces its origins back to the European coal and steel community, which was established in 1951 to promote economic integration among 6 Western European countries. Over the years, the EU has expanded both in terms of membership and areas of cooperation, including the creation of a single market, a common currency, the euro, and policies on foreign and security issues. Latest member profile. The EU currently has 27 member states, after the United Kingdom left the EU on January 31, 2020. The member states are Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Netherlands, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden. Leadership. The EU is led by a number of institutions, including European Council, consists of the heads of state or government of the EU member states and provides overall political direction and priorities for the EU. European Commission, serves as the executive branch of the EU and is responsible for proposing legislation and implementing EU policies. European Parliament, represents the citizens of the EU and is responsible for passing laws and approving the EU budget. Council of the European Union, represents the member states and is responsible for negotiating and adopting EU legislation. Politics and economy. The EU is based on the principle of subsidiarity, which means that decisions are taken at the most appropriate level, whether that is at the EU level, national level, or local level. The EU has a single market, which allows for the free movement of goods, services, capital, and people within the EU. The EU also has a common currency, the euro, which is used by 19 of the 27 member states. The EU is one of the world's largest economies, with a GDP of over 15 trillion euros. The EU is also a major player in global trade and foreign policy, and has developed a number of policies on issues such as climate change, migration, and security. Decision-making mechanism. The EU decision-making process is complex, involving a number of different institutions and procedures. In general, decisions are taken through a combination of negotiation and consensus building, with each member state having a say in the decision-making process. Major contemporary issues and latest status update. Some of the major issues and challenges facing the EU today include 1. Brexit. The UK officially left the EU on January 31, 2020, but negotiations over the future relationship between the UK and the EU have continued. In December 2020, the EU and the UK reached a trade and cooperation agreement, which sets out the terms of their future relationship in areas such as trade, security, and law enforcement. However, there are still ongoing issues to be resolved, such as the implementation of the Northern Ireland Protocol. 2. COVID-19 pandemic. The EU has been working to coordinate its response to the COVID-19 pandemic, including the procurement and distribution of vaccines. However, the rollout of vaccines has been slower than expected in some member states, and there have been concerns over vaccine supply and distribution. 3. Immigration. The EU has continued to grapple with the issue of immigration, with member states implementing a range of policies and measures to manage the flow of migrants and refugees. In September 2020, the EU proposed a new pact on migration and asylum, which aims to provide a more comprehensive and coordinated approach to migration management. 4. Climate change. In December 2020, the EU agreed to increase its emissions reduction target for 2030 from 40% to 55%, as part of its commitment to achieving carbon neutrality by 2050. The EU has also proposed a number of initiatives to support the transition to a more sustainable economy, including a European Green Deal and a Just Transition Fund. 5. Economic recovery. The EU's €750 billion recovery package, known as Next Generation EU, was agreed in July 2020 and is currently being implemented. The package includes grants and loans for member states to support their economic recovery and transition to a more sustainable and digital economy. 6. Foreign policy. The EU has continued to engage with other countries and regions on a range of issues, including trade, security, and climate change. In recent months, the EU has taken a more assertive approach to its foreign policy, including by imposing sanctions on Belarus and China over human rights abuses. The EU has also been working to strengthen its partnerships with countries in Africa and the Indo-Pacific region. In summary, the European Union is a political and economic union made up of 27 member states. It was formed after World War II with the aim of promoting peace, stability, and economic cooperation among its members. The EU has a complex decision-making system, which involves a range of institutions, including the European Commission, the European Parliament, and the European Council. The EU faces a range of challenges and issues, including Brexit, the COVID-19 pandemic, immigration, climate change, economic recovery, and foreign policy. The EU is currently working to address these issues and promote the long-term stability and prosperity of its member states.